Okay, so get this.
Okay.
We're diving deep today into this text
Yeah.
called simply Basted Text.
Okay.
And it claims
Mm-hmm.
that companies
Okay.
with a strong culture of accountability
Right.
can see productivity gains
Yeah.
of up to 20%,
Wow.
which is, I mean, that's huge, right?
That is massive.
Yeah. So let's unpack this whole accountability and productivity connection
Okay.
and see what we can all learn.
Sounds good.
You know, accountability in the workplace
Yeah.
it's obviously important, right?
Right. It's kind of foundational, I think, to
Yeah.
how we think about getting things done.
Yeah.
When you feel accountable,
Yeah.
you're more likely to be productive.
Yeah. And it's not just about like
But
having
it's-
someone like looking over your shoulder, right?
No, not all.
It's got to be something deeper.
Exactly.
Than that.
Like a feeling of
Intrinsic motivation,
intrinsic motivation.
where people want to excel,
Right. Not because they're being forced to.
right? Because they feel like they own it,
Exactly.
get a stake in it.
Yeah, ownership and responsibility.
Yeah, responsibility
To-
for their work.
Okay, so how do we actually create that kind of environment?
Well, that's the million-dollar question, isn't it?
Right. It's easy to say, like, foster a sense of ownership,
Right.
but how do you actually, like, make that happen?
Yeah, so the text actually digs into some really interesting strategies.
Okay.
And one that really jumped out at me
Yeah.
was this idea of psychological safety.
Okay.
So it argues that when people feel safe,
Yeah.
safe to take risks,
Hmm.
to voice their opinions,
Okay.
even to make mistakes
Right.
without fear of punishment,
Yeah.
they're more likely to actually step up and take ownership.
Okay, so it's not just about, like, being accountable for the work,
Yeah.
but, like, feeling safe enough to really, like,
Own the process.
own the process. Yeah.
Be part of it.
And the text even cites a study
Okay.
where teams with high psychological safety
Right.
were much more likely
Yeah.
to experiment
Yeah.
with new ideas and approaches,
Interesting.
which, as you can imagine,
Right.
leads to more innovation
Yeah.
and ultimately higher productivity.
Right, because if you're not afraid to fail,
Exactly.
you're going to try more things.
You're going to be more creative.
Right, yeah.
You're going to take more risks.
Okay, this is all making sense.
Good, good.
But, you know, I gotta say,
Yeah.
like, I've definitely felt the pressure
Sure.
of deadlines and expectations,
Of course.
and I can see how accountability could also have a downside.
Absolutely.
Like, what happens when it goes too far?
Yeah, that's a great question.
Does the text address that at all?
It does. It does.
Okay.
And this is where it gets really interesting.
Okay.
The text actually cautions against
Yeah.
too much focus
Okay.
on individual accountability.
Interesting. Yeah.
Because apparently when people feel like,
They're constantly being judged
right.
and evaluated.
Yeah.
It can actually lead to less collaboration
Really?
and less information sharing.
Okay, so backfires
It can. It can.
because they're too afraid to.
Yeah, they're afraid to make a mistake.
Right.
They're afraid to look bad.
Right. So they're not gonna like.
They're not going to share their ideas.
Right. They're gonna hoard information.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And the text actually uses the term blame culture,
Oh yeah.
where people are more worried about
Yeah.
protecting themselves
Right.
than actually working together
Right.
to solve the problem.
Right. Yeah. That makes sense.
Yeah. So it's really about finding that
Sweet spot.
sweet spot. Yeah.
Enough accountability
Right.
to drive motivation and results,
Mhm.
but not so much that it creates this
Cognitive.
environment.
Okay. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, it's a delicate balance.
It is.
And the text really emphasizes
Okay.
clear communication and goal setting
Yeah.
within a team.
Right.
Everyone needs to be on the same page,
Right. Everyone needs to know
understand their role,
their role. Yeah.
and feel supported
right.
in taking ownership.
Okay. Yeah. So thinking about my own work,
Yeah.
I mean, this is pretty eye-opening.
It's interesting stuff, isn't it?
It is. Yeah.
It makes you think
It does.
about how you approach things.
So, like, what's the big takeaway?
The big takeaway
Yeah.
for our listener.
I think it's this. Accountability can be a powerful tool
Yeah.
for productivity,
Mm-hmm.
but it needs to be approached thoughtfully
Okay.
and intentionally.
Intentionally, yeah.
It's not just about metrics and deadlines.
It's about more than that.
It's about creating an environment
Yeah.
of trust, psychological safety, and shared responsibility.
Shared responsibility. That's a great point.
Yeah.
So, listener, we're curious,
Yeah.
after this deep dive,
Mm-hmm.
what's one small change you could make
In your work environment
in your own work? Yeah.
to foster a sense of accountability.
It could be a team project
Yeah, team project.
or even just in how you
Approach your own task.
approach your own work. Yeah.
Give it a try.
See if it makes a difference.
Yeah, see what happens.
Let us know.
And thanks for joining us on this deep dive.
Thanks for listening.
We'll see you next time.
See you then. Bye.
Buddy.